Hi, my name is Melinda Calway, and I'm going to be doing a painting for you today of woods, trees, and I want to really emphasize the light coming through and reflecting on the branches. This is being done in hyperlapse because it would be so many hours if I did it in real time. But the hyperlapse makes it look quickly, makes it go quickly, and it's much more entertaining to watch than to look at the same thing for hours on end. So I put in a base layer of very light green, and now I'm marking in some of the trees. And then I'm putting in a second layer over top with some darker green and putting in some of the foreground. It is dry now, and I'm putting on some masking fluid to save the lightness along the edges of the branches. This way I can paint over the background and not worry about losing that light. This masking fluid is called masking gum, and it goes on blue so I can see it, and then I can peel it off after I'm finished the painting. So after I've allowed that to dry 100%, I'm continuing on and painting in some of the darker greens. I'm very cognizant of the fact that I need to paint dark color around where this masking fluid is, or when I take it off, I won't see the difference. Every once in a while, I'll spatter some green on using a rigger brush and just kind of hitting it so that I get some feeling that there's, speckles here and there in the woods. Putting in some of the dark green and some of the foreground, a little bit darker, helps me accentuate where I want to put the trees. I'm painting around the trees right now and getting some dark in there, and then I will come along and paint the trees in darker. Every once in a while I will do that spattering. And I'm putting in different greens and browns and golds and blues on the floor of the forest, and the greens are putting in above are greens and yellows and blues. So I'm leaving some of the ground a lighter color because the light is shining through the trees and hitting some of the ground. So the part where you see is a lighter color, that's what that is. And around it is dark to add that contrast of value so that you can see the light and the dark. And I've got this tree in the front here. It's kind of in the middle of the picture, but I don't think it cuts the picture in half because there are so many trees around it, and it's divided too. Some of the trees are darker, some of them are lighter. The ones in the far background I will be putting in a little bit lighter so they look more distant. The one I'm putting in right now are birch trees. So they have a little bit of darkness, but they also have some spots on them and some lines that birch trees generally have. So as I put those on, I keep in mind that the curve, if there's a curve in them, has to be, I call it a frown because you're looking up at the tree, and that gives it perspective. So we're dry again here, and I'm going and putting in some more trees. There's a lot of trees here. And I'm trying to make the trees look individual and different, putting in some colors. This one's dark, and the green that I'm putting on it right now is moss. And as I'm doing that, as I'm darkening up the trees, I see that the foliage on the trees is too light, so I'm darkening that up as I go. And as I darken that up, I see that I need to darken the trees. Watercolors like that. You add layers of darkness, and it just do it a little bit at a time. If you add it too dark at first, you lose the light too quickly. This tree here, I'm putting in some blue and I'm putting in some pinky red color just for fun because I can. So even though it's not in the picture, as an artist, we have artistic license and we can change it a little bit, add it. As long as it will improve the picture, we can do that. Well, we can do it anyway, but hopefully it will improve the picture. So now I'm putting in some of the branches, and I'm putting in the branches around and some of it underneath where I put the masking fluid before, so that there'll be a dark part on top and then a lighter part, dark part on the bottom, lighter part on the top once I take those trees off, the masking fluid off. There are a lot of branches on here. When I'm using a rigger brush to put those branches on, it's a 0 rigger brush, number-wise, and it's one of my favorite brushes. It works really well. Now on these trees, there has some texture and there are some spots, so I'm putting some of those in and it's continuing to darken the trees and darken the foliage and going back and forth that way. It is dry again, and I'm continuing on, putting in some of the ground around the trees and the forest floor, basically. I'm doing a little bit of spattering, and it's good to do it over time because you can look back on it and see what you need to do. So right now I'm putting in some blue and some different colors. The masking fluid is now off, so I'm touching up the branches. And I went for a walk through the forest and I saw these beautiful blue flowers. So I'm adding some of that in to give you some interest on the floor of the forest. And I'm using that card. I was using it to prevent it from going on the trees, just putting it while I put the color on the forest floor. So feel free to look at some of the other videos that I have done. I've got some that are tutorials, so they're done in real time, that you can follow along with and pause if you need to and to do this. This one is more to tell you what the order of operation is, and it's meant to be a little bit more entertaining so that you can look at things as it's done and spend a short time seeing the painting being completed. And now you can see that there is the light and the dark on the forest floor. Adds a little bit of interest. And the light part of the tree, the branches, it sparkles. I don't know how it is on your screen, but in real life it looks pretty good. So thank you very much for watching, and this was a fun one. I really like this. It's 30 inches long and about 12 inches high. So it's kind that would be really nice over a couch or a mantle, things like that. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.